Welcome to the 12th lecture on representations of finite groups. So in today's lecture we are going to talk about centralizer algebra of a permutation representation, and if time permits we will also talk about Gelfand pairs. Let sigma from G to Sx be an action of a group G on a set X. Then we are interested in this space of all morphism from the permutation representation sigma tilde to itself. Hom G sigma tilde and sigma tilde. What is this space? That is what we are interested in. So to simplify matters, we will fix elements of the set X. We will label them. So let us write X equals to say x1, x2 and so on, say xn. Recall that sigma tilde is a group homomorphism from a group G into GL of V, where V is abstract vector space spanned by the set X. Right? Once we have labeled elements of the set X which form a basis for the vector space V, we can write down matrix for each sigma tilde of little g. So therefore, up to equivalence sigma tilde can be viewed as a matrix representation. Up to equivalence we can view sigma tilde as a map from G to GLNC. So this is what we are going to work with. Recall what is Hom G sigma tilde in this case. This by definition will be all those matrices A belonging to MnC, the space of all n by n matrices over C, such that sigma tilde of G times A is same as A times sigma tilde of G for every G in the group G. Basically, we are collecting all those matrices, n by n matrices over a complex number, which commute with each of the matrices sigma tilde G. Recall that in group theory, if you have a group G and an element of the group G, then centralizer of that element is all those elements of the group which commute with this element, right? So similar ideas make sense in ring theory and algebras. Hom G sigma tilde is the centralizer of the representation sigma tilde. Notice that the space of all n by n matrices over C is a C algebra, and space of all morphisms from sigma tilde to sigma tilde is clearly a vector subspace of this. That Hom G sigma tilde is a unital subring of Mn cross n C. Proof. Notice that the n by n identity matrix is in this space of morphism from sigma tilde to sigma tilde, because if I belong to Mn by nc is the identity matrix, then we know that this identity is satisfied. Then sigma G tilde into identity is same as sigma G tilde, which is same as identity into sigma G tilde for every G in the group G. So let A and B belong to Hom G sigma tilde. Our claim is that then AB also belong to Hom G sigma tilde. So consider sigma G tilde AB into sigma G tilde inverse. So we can write it as sigma G tilde into A into sigma G tilde inverse and sigma G tilde, and then B into sigma tilde G inverse. we can club these here together, and that is because A and B are in the centralizer of permutation representation, therefore this is same as A and this is same as B. Hence Hom G sigma tilde is a unital subring, is a unital subring of the ring of all n by n matrices over C, Mn cross n C. Remember, our aim here is to understand this space of morphisms Hom G sigma tilde, which turns out to be a unital subring of the space of all n by n matrices over complex numbers. So for that we define a new representation of our group G. Let us take W to be Mn cross Nc, the space of all the complex vector space of all n by n matrices over C is an n square dimensional complex vector space, and define this tau from G to GLW by this rule. So tau of any G, it has to be an automorphism or an invertible linear transformation of the vector space V. So therefore it should act on a n by n matrix. So acting on A, how does it act? It acts on A by this rule, sigma tilde G A sigma tilde G inverse. One can easily check that it's a homomorphism. So clearly tau is a representation of your group G, representation of the group G. Further, W to power G by definition, which consists of all vectors in W, which are basically matrices. So all those A belonging to Mn by Nc, such that tau G of A is A for every G in the group G. But let us open it up. So that is A belonging to Mn by Nc, such that what is tau G of A? That by definition is sigma tilde G A, sigma tilde G inverse is A for all G in G, right? But you know this is same as A in Mn by Nc, such that sigma tilde G A is same as A into sigma tilde G. This fixed point space W superscript G actually turns out to be same as Hom G of sigma tilde. Therefore this unital subring can be identified as a fixed point space of a new representation of your group G. Now recall from lecture number 10, where we were discussing permutation representations, that if you have an action of a group on a set and you consider the associated permutation representation, then the fixed point space of that permutation representation has dimension precisely the number of orbits. So here we have identified Hom G sigma tilde with a fixed point space of representation, and if I can show this representation tau is arising from some action of G on some set, then I will know that dimension of Wg, which is same as dimension of Hom G sigma tilde is same as number of orbits of that new action. Consider sigma 2 from G to S of x times x, where you may recall that sigma 2 of a group element G will act on a pair xy as simply sigma G of x and sigma G of y, the twofold diagonal action which we already discussed. My claim is that sigma 2 is a desired action whose permutation representation is equivalent to the representation tau. The representations tau and sigma 2 tilde are equivalent. Okay, so let us prove it. We will define an explicit equivalence. Define a map T from what is the representation space of tau, which is the space of all n by n matrices, so that is Mn by Nc, to, and what is the representation space of the permutation representation of sigma 2, that is sigma 2 tilde. It is the vector space spanned by x cross x, we call it U, okay, where U is the vector space spanned by x times x, okay, by the following rule. Let us write Aij is your n by n matrix, and now U is the vector space spanned by x times x. X has n elements, so x times x has n square elements, and these are precisely Aij's are precisely n square complex numbers. So the obvious choice, and also recall we have already labeled elements of x as x1, x2, xn. So I can write it as summation Aij. So Aij is the coefficient of xi, xj. That's it. Very natural choice. Of course, I and j all both run from 1 to n. Clearly, T is a C linear map. We claim that tau g followed by T is same as T followed by sigma 2 tilde at G for all G in the group G, the condition of equivalence of representations. To proceed further, let us rewrite the original action sigma from G to Sx. We can rewrite it as a new action eta from G to the symmetric group Sn, where eta little g of I is j if and only if sigma g of xi is xj. So basically we are just looking at the underlying permutation of the labeling of the elements of x. So with this we can now try to check the equivalence of the representations. Let G be an element of the group G, and say A equals to the matrix with entries Aij's be an element of Mn by Nc. Set B equals to tau G of A, and let us write its entries as Bij's. We will try to understand what these entries Bij's are. Then we have, what are these Bij's? Bij is the ijth entry of the matrix tau G into A. Tau G into A is sigma tilde G, A sigma tilde G inverse. So using the definition of product matrices, this is same as ikth entry of sigma tilde at G into AKL entry of A into sigma tilde of G inverse and its Ljth entry, where the intermediate variables k and l vary from 1 to n. K and l vary from 1 to n. This is simply equals to A times eta G inverse of I, comma eta G inverse of J. Since if you look at the ikth entry of sigma tilde G, sigma tilde is ikth entry at G, what is this by definition? Notice that sigma tilde is a permutation representation. So you have a given action sigma from G to Sx. So each element of the group G simply permutes the elements of the set X, and the permutation representation is exactly the same action but views those elements of X as basis of the vector space, right? So this is going to be 1 if xi is sigma g of xk and 0 otherwise, right? That we already discussed in lecture number 10 on permutation representation. All right, and similarly, you know what the other one is. Similarly, sigma tilde at Ljth entry at G inverse is precisely 1 if XL is sigma G inverse of Xj and 0 otherwise. Okay, it just follows from this observation. We now check equivalence of tau and sigma 2 tilde. So consider tau g times t acting on A, that by definition is what? We have set it as B, that is the entries Bij's, and what is T of Bij's? That is summation Bij's into this basis element xi xj of vector space U, where I and j of course run from 1 to n. Since we have computed value of these complex numbers Bij, we can plug in here. So this expression is same as summation I and j run from 1 to n, and Bij's are simply A eta G inverse of I, eta G inverse of j, and xi comma xj. Okay. Now what we do is some change of variables. So write eta G inverse of I as some I prime, eta G inverse of j as some j prime, but this I prime and j prime again will run from 1 to n itself, right? So this expression is same as, just to make notation simpler, this is same as again Aij, and then xi will simply become sigma g of xi and sigma g of xj, where again I and j run from 1 to n. But what is this action sigma g of xi, sigma g of xj? That is exactly the twofold diagonal action. So summation I and j from 1 to n, right, Aij's, and this is sigma 2 of g acting on xi comma xj. But what is this? This, if you look at carefully, this is same as that first I have applied the operator t, we send Aij into Aij times the basis elements, and then I am applying the twofold diagonal action. So that is just same as sigma 2 tilde of g t acting on A. Okay, so this implies that tau g into t is same as t into sigma 2 tilde g for all g in the group G. This shows that tau and sigma 2 tilde are equivalent representations of the group G. Okay. So remark, since tau is equivalent to the representation sigma 2 tilde, we must have equivalent representations have the same structure, therefore their fixed point spaces should also be isomorphic. So we must have that the fixed point space w to the power g should be isomorphic to u to the power g. In particular, dimension of wg over complex numbers should be same as dimension of ug over complex numbers. Notice that wg is same as the centralizer algebra of the original action sigma from G to Sx. Therefore, dimension of wg over C as a vector space is same as dimension of hom G sigma tilde over C. We now find an explicit basis for the space of morphism from sigma tilde to sigma tilde. Let omega be an orbit of sigma 2 from G to S of x cross x. Recall that these are also called orbitals. Define a matrix. Let us write it as A of omega of size n by n as follows. So A of omega n is ijth entry is given by the following. It is simply 1 if xi xj is in this orbit omega and 0 otherwise. Notice that we have written here that the fixed point space W superscript G is isomorphic to the fixed point space U superscript G, and U is the underlying representation space of the permutation sigma 2 from G to S of x cross x. Therefore, a basis for UG is given by the orbits. You may recall from lecture number 10 that if you have an action of a group on a set and then consider the corresponding permutation representation, then the fixed point space has dimension precisely the number of orbits, and in fact a basis for the fixed point space is given by the orbits. So the matrix is basically pulling back the orbit in U to an orbit in W under the equivalence T. So this is what this matrix A omega is. Let sigma from G to Sx a group action, and let omega 1, omega 2, so on omega k be the orbits of the two-fold diagonal action sigma 2 from G to S of x cross x, the orbitals of sigma, that's another name. Then this set of matrices A of omega 1, A of omega 2, so on, and A of omega k form a basis for the centralizer algebra of sigma. Form a basis for Hom G sigma tilde sigma tilde. Recall that a basis for the fixed point space UG is given by these vectors V1, V2, so on Vk, where VL is simply sum of vectors in the orbit omega L, xi xj, okay, where xi xj are the basis elements lying in the orbit omega L. We have this isomorphism T from W to U. Then we see that the matrix A of omega L that I defined earlier is simply pullback of this T. So T inverse of VL. Okay, because under an isomorphism of two representation, the fixed point space will go to the fixed point space, and the basis, therefore the basis of the fixed point space will also go to basis of the fixed point space. Thus the set A of omega 1, so on A of omega k is a basis for this centralizer algebra Hom G sigma tilde sigma tilde. In particular, dimension of this centralizer algebra is same as dimension of Wg, which is same as dimension of G, which is same as the number of orbits of the two-fold diagonal action sigma 2, which is we call the number of orbitals. Some books also call it the rank of the given action, original given action sigma. So this finished the proof of the proposition. Let us carry on this idea of centralizer algebra further and define what we call Gelfand pairs. The theory of Gelfand pairs is very deep and has tremendous applications, but we will barely scratch the surface of this theory. Basically, we are just focusing on a very special kind of permutation representation. So let G be a group and H a subgroup of the group G. Subgroup of the group G. G act on the set of left cosets of H in G. G act on G mod H, the set of left cosets of H in G. You could also take right coset, but since all our actions are writing from left, so we want to take left cosets. So if sigma from G to S of G mod H is this action, then we say that GH is a Gelfand pair if the centralizer algebra of action sigma is commutative. If home G sigma tilde is a commutative algebra, is a commutative subalgebra. Let us discuss an example. What could be the simplest example? The simplest example could be take H to be G itself. So let G be a group. Let G be a group and take H to be G itself. Okay. Then what is the set of all cosets, left cosets of H in G? Then it's a singleton set. Then G mod H is a singleton set, right? Singleton set. And then what kind of action sigma from G to S of G mod H you can have? It has to be only a trivial action. And sigma from G to symmetric group on G mod H is a trivial action. A trivial action. And what is the dimension of the representation space of the corresponding permutation representation? It is an abstract vector space spanned by one set. It has to be just one dimensional. Thus, what kind of representation is sigma tilde? It is the trivial representation of the group G. So thus sigma tilde is the trivial representation of the group G. Trivial representation of the group G, and which is irreducible, being one dimensional, which is irreducible. Okay, being one dimensional. Hence, what is the centralizer algebra of this? So what is home G sigma tilde? Since sigma tilde is irreducible, by Schur's lemma, this is just isomorphic to the one dimensional complex vector space, which is simply C, which is clearly commutative, right? Which C as an algebra is commutative, which is commutative. So the pair GG is always a Gelfand pair, is a Gelfand pair. Let's do the other extreme where H is a trivial subgroup. So let G be a group, okay, and take H to be the trivial subgroup, the subgroup consisting of only the identity element of the group G, right? Then what is G mod H, the space of our left cosets of H in G? It is just the group itself. And the action, what is the induced action on the coset? Then the action sigma from G to symmetric group on G mod H. which is the same as symmetric group on the group G, is the usual left regular action, is the regular action, okay, the regular action of G. Claim is that the centralizer algebra in this case, home G of sigma tilde is isomorphic to the group algebra CG. Okay, so this connects with the theory of group algebra that we discussed in the beginning lectures. Take the regular action of a group G on itself and consider the associated permutation representation. Then the space of morphism from this representation to itself, that is the centralizer algebra of the permutation representation of the regular action, is isomorphic to the group algebra. This is what our claim is. To prove this, we are going to define an explicit isomorphism from the centralizer algebra of sigma to the group algebra. So let us take an element T belong to home G of sigma tilde. Define a function ft from G to C such that T of 1 can be written as summation ft of x inverse into x, where x is in the group G. Let me explain you how you really get this. Since sigma tilde is the permutation representation associated to the regular action, what is the underlying vector space? Underlying vector space for sigma tilde is the vector space whose bases are the group elements. Therefore, any morphism T from sigma tilde to sigma tilde can act on the basis element, which are the group elements. In particular, it acts on identity of the group, right, where 1 belong to G is the identity of the group G. Now T of 1 is again going to be an element of this vector space, so therefore it should be a scalar linear combination of group elements. So let us say T of 1 is summation Cx into x, where x is a group element. So this Cx I am renaming as, because it is a function of x, right? So I can just write it as ft of x inverse. So this gives you a function from G to C. We claim in the proof that the map T goes to f of t is an isomorphism from home G of sigma tilde to the group algebra CG. So let us show that it is injective first. Consider T of a group element G. What is this then? I can write it as T of sigma tilde of G acting on 1, right? What is sigma tilde of G acting on 1? It is just G times 1, that is G only, right? It's a regular action, left regular action. So therefore I can write it like this, but then I am given that T is a morphism. Therefore this can be written as sigma tilde of G into T acting on 1. But just by definition of T of 1, it can be written as sigma tilde of G into summation x in the group G into f of t x inverse into x. So we have that, we know what is T of 1 we are setting. So in terms of that, we can write T of G for any G in G, okay, for any G in the group G. Then this gives you injectivity of the map T goes to f of t. This implies that the map T goes to f of t is a monomorphism, is injective. Let's show that this map is an epimorphism, that is it's surjective. So let f belong to C of G be an element of the group algebra. So that is f is a map from G to C is a complex valued map. I need to define a morphism T in home G sigma tilde using F. So define T from W to W. So where let us set this intermediate notation. So the underlying vector space of the group algebra. So where W is vector space spanned by G, which is also same as CG, underlying vector space of CG, right? You can view it like this. So define T from W to W by the following. So it's enough to define it on basis element, which are the group elements. So by T of G, it to be sigma tilde of G acting on this vector, summation f of x inverse x an element of the group G. We need to check that T is indeed a morphism from sigma tilde to sigma tilde. That is, we need to check that commutativity of the square. Okay, so consider, let us do that check. So consider sigma tilde y into T acting on a group element G. All right, this by definition is same as what? This is same as T acting on, so what is sigma tilde y acting on G? It is just yg. This is same as yg, but just above we have calculated how T act on an arbitrary group element. This is just same as sigma tilde of yg times this big element f of T x inverse into x a group element G. So this can be written as sigma tilde of y. All right, and then we are left with sigma tilde of G acting on the remaining, but which by definition is Tg of T of G. This happens for all G in G. Thus T is indeed a morphism from sigma tilde to sigma tilde. Let us check what is T of 1. Checking T of 1, we see that T of 1 just by definition is sigma tilde of 1 acting on this element f of x inverse into x a group element, but sigma tilde is a group homomorphism, so sigma tilde of 1 is 1 only, so which is precisely same as f of x inverse into x a group element. Thus T is the desired morphism from sigma tilde to sigma tilde, which maps to f. Thus T basically map to this f. F is basically f of sub T. This shows that the map T goes to f of T from home G sigma tilde to the group algebra CG is an isomorphism of underlying vector spaces. What we are claiming is that it is in fact an isomorphism of algebras. So we need to show that the product is preserved. This shows that T goes to f of T is an isomorphism of underlying vector spaces of the centralizer algebra of sigma, that is home G sigma tilde and the group algebra C of G. To show that it's an isomorphism of algebras, we need to show that it preserves products. For that, consider two elements. So let T1 comma T2 be two elements here in home G sigma tilde. What is T1 times T2 of the identity element of the group, which by definition is same as T1 acting on this big expression f of T x inverse into x a group element G f of T2, but T1 is linear, so this is same as summation f of T2 of x inverse x in the group G and T1 of x, right? But T1 of x again we know how to write down, that is same as summation x in the group G f of T2 of x inverse, but T1 of x can be written as T1 into sigma tilde x of 1. that is same as T1 into sigma tilde x of 1, which is same as summation x in the group G f of T2 of x inverse. Now notice that T1 and T2 are morphisms, so T1 sigma tilde of x is same as sigma tilde of x into T1. So that is same as sigma tilde of x into value of T1 add 1, but which we know again is a big expression, is summation f of T1 of y inverse y is in the group G. And now just write down the value of sigma tilde of x on this expression, and opening it up we see that this is same as summation x and y in the group G f of T2 of x inverse f of T1 of y inverse, and sigma tilde of x acting on y just x into y into x into y, where x and y run over the group. Now we do some change of variables. Take G to be xy and u to be x inverse. Then we get that T1 T2 add 1 can be rewritten as summation G in the group G summation u in the group G, and it turns out f of T1 of G inverse u inverse into f of T2 of u times G. Observe this inner sum which is put in the bracket. What is this sum? You may recall that this is simply convolution of the functions f of T1 and f of T2 in the group algebra CG. So this is same as summation as G run in the group G and f of T1 star f of T2, and this element acting on the G inverse times the group element. Okay, but by definition, so but T1 T2 of 1 by our definition of the map T goes to f of t should also be written as summation G in the group G and f of T1 T2 of G inverse times G. So you are working in a vector space, so any linear combination of the bases, if an element is expressed in two forms as a linear combination of bases, then the coefficient should agree. So this implies that f of T1 T2 is same as f of T1 star f of T2. This says that the map T goes to f of t satisfy that T1 T2, which under this map should go to f of T1 T2, but that is same as f of T1 star f of T2, right? So this map also preserves the product and hence is an isomorphism of algebras. We have that the centralizer algebra hom G sigma tilde is isomorphic to the group algebra CG, where the product is the usual convolution of maps, and the product in hom G sigma tilde is the usual composition of linear maps. So this proves our claim. Now recall that a pair GH is a Gelfand pair if the corresponding centralizer algebra of the action of the group G on the cosets of H in G is commutative. In the case when the subgroup is a trivial subgroup, the corresponding action becomes just a regular action, and in that case the centralizer algebra can be identified with the group algebra CG. The group algebra CG is commutative if and only if the group is commutative. So thus we have proved this result. Notice that the group algebra CG has product the convolution of functions and this is commutative if and only if G is an abelian group. G is an abelian group. Thus, the pair G together with its trivial subgroup is a Gelfand pair if and only if G is an abelian group. Alright, I will stop this lecture here. Thank you.